I want to say to everybody here tonight that we have two elections, unfortunately. The first election is going to be August 14th. The second election, which is a general election, is going to be in November, most likely November 15th. Kadeem, is it November? You know all the numbers. When is it November? 7th. November 7th? November 7th. Thank you, Brother Kadeem. So it's going to be on November 7th. The reason why we have two races this year, unfortunately, is because although I should have gotten a nomination for the probate judge, because all the mathematics say that I should have gotten the nomination, we have a thing called a convention. And at the convention, they have selected delegates, and those delegates vote for who should get the nomination. So this year, when they had the convention, a lot of things that I disagree with took place. And we had 41 delegates from Norwalk, we had a couple from Wilton, and some people didn't show up, and they gave out proxies, which means they gave votes abilities to people who then again voted for someone else other than me. That was a mistake, and I think that they will soon learn that that was a mistake. But I have to tell you this. I am here to tell you that the true convention, the true nomination is going to take place on August 14th. That's when you, the people, get your voice back. And that's when you have an opportunity to go out to the polls and nominate your candidate. And I'm here to tell you that your candidate is Darnell Crosland next to the Thurgood Marshall sign here on the sign. So I want to tell you not just that I'm your candidate because I'm asking you, but I ran against the incumbent, Tony DePanthelis. Tony gave 19 years to the city as a probate judge. And it's very hard to even come close to an incumbent, a person who's sitting on the bench. And when I started to run, people thought it wasn't going to happen. I had Vinny O'Bannon here as my campaign manager. Vinny, retired Greenwich police officer. And so people think I don't like cops, and Vinny is one of my best friends. And I had Jill sitting here, who was my secretary. I said, Jill, I need a secretary, my treasurer actually, sorry. I need a treasurer. She said, what's that? I said, just read this. And so that's how we did that campaign. We had to knock on doors. Reverend Ingram is here. Please raise your hand, Reverend Ingram. He let me come to the church and speak at the church. We had a sort of a bond, and that's how we did this. We did this organically. So I'm very moved by the words even Anita said, that I try to do my best to be honest and be open. You know, a lot of the lawyers here will tell you that Lindy specifically says I'm too sensitive. He's been saying that for 15 years. But I take things personal, you know, and it's because I really care about what I'm doing. And that's just the facts. If people don't like that, that's just what it is. So we have a long way to go, but I think we can get there together. And this probate race is going to be no different than the last one. We're going to knock on doors. We're going to get together. We have Travis Sims running for the 140th. Travis, can you come up here for a second? So Travis, as many know, many might not know, world champion boxer. They have the Travis Sims weight named after him. I want to tell you something. When we talk about arguing, sometimes not agreeing, then that again is not a bug in the system. It's one of the features. And so Travis and I, we had our issues over the years. I would go to cheerleading games. He'll be there with his daughter, and we'd give each other a little head nod because we didn't know what position we was on that day. You know, you like me, not like me. You know, we gotta give each other a little head check, right? The chin check. That's what we call it in the hood. Just like, what's up? You know, everything cool? Nobody move, nobody get hurt. You know, that's how it is. Nobody move, nobody get hurt. But over the years, we come to realize that as Ernie Newton left, but he said to me, in politics, there's nothing. He said, there's no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, only common interests. And so we have to learn that. We have to adopt that. So Travis is standing here with me tonight, and I'm proud to have him stand with me. And we're going to go across this entire state and make sure that the city, rather, and Wilton, to make sure that we secure the votes. Let me just tell you a little bit about my background that makes me qualified. I worked at as a juvenile probation officer, and I worked 2 years as a juvenile probation officer. As probate judge, you have to work with families, right? So that's the mathematics, right? They want to know what you know about probate. So if you die with a will, you die. Anybody? No? You die. What's the word for you die with a will? It's testate, right? And you die without a will, it's intestate, right? And so if you die with a will, your will always names an executor. If you die without a will, the probate court, myself, I appoint an administrator. And that person just overlooks everything, right? And that's what they do. So if a juvenile probation officer, I worked with so many families, and I can't tell you the nights that parents didn't come and pick up their children. And I had to take them and walk them over to DCF or walk them to a foster home, and I had to mentor those kids and stay with them. And they didn't know what was going to happen. And I continued that relationship. After that, I graduated college, law school, and then I worked in the DA's office in the Bronx, where I worked with victim advocates. I was prosecuting cases, so I had to work with victims, right? So I know what it is. I hear people say, what does a criminal defense attorney know about probate? Well, I know a lot about probate. I know a lot about the families that are affected and the families that I have to reach out to. And so I want to tell you that I'm not standing here as an empty shell. I've been around the block and we've done a lot of work. In terms of watching children and children who don't have a lot of resources. I grew up going to my mother's job in elementary school and in pre-K. And can you come up here, please, Mother? And she's here from the Bronx to support me today. So she would always teach me along the way that as my nephew, I guess he's learning that too, that you have to be a conformist, nonconformist. You have to understand how to get along, how to move the ball. But as my nephew said, that you can't take no for an answer. You got to stay on your principles, and that's what we learned. And my mother taught me that. So I would go to her job and sit down and watch the teachers, the parents, and she would always tell me things, and I would learn from that. So my learning is, excuse me? Oh, my learning comes on the job. My learning comes from the home. We grew up in the Bronx, Arthur Avenue, if anybody know Arthur Avenue. That was the street that I grew up on. And so I learned a lot from that about to be persistent. And so I want to just have you understand that I'm not asking you to do me a favor. Don't do me any favors. And if I sound unhumble by saying do yourself a favor, DJ Khaled said that. Do yourself a favor. Do yourself a big favor. Elect Darnell Crosland for your next probate judge, right? And I want to tell you, when Ernie said that I may be the first African-American probate judge in the state, that's a little incorrect. I think we have our first one now, Cliff, who's up in New Haven, who speaks to me all the time on the phone. He was just elected as probate judge, African-American male. In terms of trailblazing, I was in Atlanta working with my nephew who was working on the Stacey Abrams campaign, and she's likely to be the first African-American female governor in the United States because she just got the nomination. And I tell you, when I was down there for that race, boy, them Georgians, they really race, and the sweet tea is real good. So we need to get some of that sweet tea. So I want to just close by saying that when we go forward from here on out, I want you to be with me every step of the way. And if I'm not on the right path, you tell me that. And I'll shape up real fast. But I've been working hard in and out the courts. 7 years on the homeless shelters board here in Connecticut. I was on the methadone clinics board until I aged out, and of course I was the president for the NAACP. So I'm really getting it in, and so I want to stay on track. So I want Travis to say some words to you, and then my mother to say something to you. Travis.
Good evening, everyone. As Darnell stated, my name is Travis Sims. Yes, I'm a two-time world champion boxer, and I have street named after me, etc. But this night isn't about me. This night is about Darnell Crosland, our next
probate judge.
I was gonna call him judge, just judge. Darnell, since he came to Norwalk, he has shown true resolve and leadership and compassion for the people. And even though we did not see eye to eye on a lot of issues and a lot of fronts, I always had respect for Darnell. Darnell has always led with a lot of integrity. And I'd never seen Darnell say anything bad about an individual. And even when he and I weren't speaking, and he heard through the grapevines that something was said, Darnell did what a man does. He called me, and we talked about it and had a discussion.
Amen.
And we ironed it out, and here we are. And I think Darnell will be a great probate judge because he's fair and he's impartial, and he will do what's right for the people of Norwalk and the people of Wilton. So I encourage each and every one of you that's here tonight, go out and tell 20, 30 people that this is our next probate judge. Let's support him, and let's make Norwalk the best city in the state. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. To all the people who said such good things about Darnell, I'll say like Steve Urkel, did I do that? there was a few telltale signs when he was growing up that he may become an attorney. When he was 4 years old, in the Caribbean, the elders believed that children should have a cup of tea before they go to school. So I was getting him dressed, and my father said, "Drink this tea." He said, "No, I don't want any tea." My father said, "Boy, drink your tea." He said, "Damn you, Papa, I don't want any tea." So my father said, "No, you're drinking this tea." So he ran under the table, he ran through the house, and he ran outside. "Damn you, Papa, I'm not drinking any tea." And I had to go out after him, and he cut himself on the fence, and instead of going to the preschool, we went to the emergency room where he got a butterfly stitch right over his eye. Fast forward a few years later, him and his brother would always, how you call it, roughhouse. So, oh, they're always roughhousing. So he hit his brother on his leg around here. I said, "Donnie, why did you hit him on his leg?" He said, "I didn't hit him on his leg." I said, "Yes, I saw you hit him on his leg." He said, "I didn't hit him on his leg." And I'm getting upset because I saw him. I said, "Well, what did you do?" He said, "I hit him on his thigh." And a few years later, like in 7th grade, I worked with preschoolers most of my career, so when I came home, I didn't want to hear nothing from nobody. And he would always have to tell me about his day, and I'll be cooking and washing the dishes, and he's telling me what happened in school. And he says to me, "Mom," I said, "Yeah." He says, "You cannot wash those dishes and listen to me at the same time." And so those were the telltale signs that he would become a lawyer later on in life. But I thank everyone for all the good things they said about him. And in Connecticut, when the people couldn't pay, I remember one inference, he sent a guy to my house and said, "Wax my mother's floor, because you can't pay me." So the guy came and he waxed my whole wood floor. So he does things even when people can't afford it. He's that type of person. And so I congratulate him. I love him. I love all of you for supporting him. And let's see how this goes. I always tell him when he was in college, go to sleep with the stars and rise with the sun. Thank you.
So, Mother, thank you for those words. I got to have you sign a non-disclosure. Couple more minutes. I might have needed counsel. I just want to say a couple last closing words to thank again everybody for coming out, and I'll be remiss. Again, we learn from each other, and the spirit lives within each other. And I haven't gone to England yet, but I've come real close to England through my family, my cousin here, Debbie Thomas. Raise your hand, please. And she came all the way down from Paulding to be with us today, and she lost her husband, which was my heart earlier this year. His name was Padgett Biza, and he always was there for me. I mean, I get choked up just talking about it. The time goes by so quick. One day I'm standing at the People's Choice restaurant down the street, and she calls me up and says he's not doing well, and he's 51, 52. And then so I said, "What's going on?" He's at Danbury Hospital. I fly up to Danbury. We see him. Okay, it's cool. You want me to bring you anything? Okay, bring me a burger. Okay, fine. And then all too soon he's gone. And so I just say to you, every time I'm in these positions, his name is Padgett. I don't know why we call him Lata. Everybody in the Caribbean has a nickname. So Lata, this is for you. And I would always say to myself, nothing venture, nothing gain. And I just wanted to dedicate this evening to him. And thank all the people like him. Joe Mann is here. He promised he doesn't want to come up here, so I'm not. So Joe, can you raise your hand, Joe? I just want to point Joe, because when I came 15 years ago, Joe was at Neon, and his office was way up top there, some floor, and he was a legislature. And I went up there and I said, "Can you tell me about what a legislature does?" And he spent hours talking to me. And it really, I don't say it's a joke, but it really chokes me up to see that where we are now, the time goes by so fast. And tomorrow's not promised. So with the data I have today, I want to say thank you, Joe, for that. And thank you, all of you, for being here. And again, we're going to have music tonight. We're going to have more food, more drinks. And throughout this campaign, we're going to do it our way. We're going to party our way. And we're not going to do anything their way. Some people say I'm non-traditional as a person. Well, I'll be non-traditional as a judge. I told Judge White, I said, if I become a Superior Court judge, I'm opening court in 3 different languages. And there's all these other plans I have. So they was like, probably, boy, you ain't getting to be a judge. But if I get to become a judge, we're going to do it our way. We're going to party our way. We're going to win come November. August 14th, we're going to win come August 14th. And November, we're going to keep marching, and we're going to take this race. We came real close. Tony the Panthers, take a look at him real quick. This is the last you're going to see him. He's retiring. And he said to me, he said, this is election night at the poll. Tony said, hey, Darnell, please, man, I'm an old guy. This is my last. I gotta retire, and you know, just give me a break. He was nervous that he was going to lose this race, and he had good cause to be nervous. And of course, I'm the negotiator. So I said to him, I pulled him to the side. This is at Columbus School at the poll. I said, Tony, how serious you feel about what you just said to me? He said, I'm real serious, bro. I just want one more term. Give me one more term. I said, you real serious about that, Tony? And he said, yeah. I said, well, can you hold this sign for me when the people come in? And he held my sign up, and I said, okay, there you go. I'll give you a break. And so he held my sign up, and that was what I negotiated. So now when you see us around, we look like best friends. It was good. We're pretty cool, but I had to negotiate that sign right there. So as we go forward, everybody, please, August 14th is your first nomination. Nominate me. They call it a primary, but I call it a nomination. You're the true delegates. You're the true leaders of Norwalk. And if you want me, forget about those people in the room a little while ago. Nominate me on August 14th, and I promise you in November 7th, Kadeem? November 7th, we'll take the general election. So thank you very much, everybody.